that we start. I think it's time we start. And so you probably, all of you know that on Thursday, it's the commemoration of the Holocaust Day. And so we are also commemorating it with a partisaner song. And since I am the only host today, Michael is not here, so you know the drill. I cannot move it. I cannot move the words together with the song. There is a bug in the computer there. So you will listen and then we will read it.
איציק ויטנברג, מחבר קצ'רגינסקי, הסובייtische Melodie, gesungen durch Mechaber. Fliegt jetzt parteiet, der Feind wie a Haie, der Mauser erwacht in meiner Hand. Nur plötzlich Gestapo, 4 Tage geschmitten, durch Finsternis dem Kommandant. Nur plötzlich Gestapo, 4 Tage geschmitten, durch Finsternis dem Kommandant. Die Nacht hat mit Blitzen das Ghetto zerrissen, Gefahr schreit a Teuer, a Wand, Chaverim, Getreie und Ketten befreien. Verschwinden mit dem Kommandant, Chaverim, Getreie und Ketten befreien. Verschwinden mit dem Kommandant. Die Nacht ist verflogen, der Teut vor die Augen, das Ghetto, es fiebert in Brand. In Umruf das Ghetto, es droht die Gestapo, Teut oder dem Kommandant. In Umruf das Ghetto, es droht die Gestapo, Teut oder dem Kommandant. Gesagt, so dann Itzig, und durch wie a Blitzis, ich will nicht, ihr sollt zu lieb mir, dürfen dem Leben, dem Söhne aufgeben. Zum Teut geht stolz der Kommandier, dürfen dem Leben, dem Söhne aufgeben. Zum Teut geht stolz der Kommandier, liegt wieder verteilt, der Feind wie a Haie, halt fester dir ist Mauser in Hand. Du bist mir teuer, sei du mein Befreier, sei du ist mein Kommandant. Jetzt bist mir teuer, sei du mein Befreier, sei du ist mein Kommandant.
Okay, let's start reading it. Janet, please.
Itzhak Wittenberg was chosen to be the first commander of the Vereinigte Partisane Organizatie in Vilna Ghetto when it was clear that the Nazis were exterminating the Jews and armed resistance was needed. He was caught by the Germans in 1943, possibly betrayed by an informant. But the partisans were able to free him. Then the Germans announced that the entire ghetto would be liquidated if he didn't surrender. The partisans called on all the Jews to revolt, but they didn't. Wittenberg decided to turn himself in. He was tortured and murdered. And of course, the entire ghetto was eventually liquidated anyway, with an estimated 60,000 to 70,000 murders. It's horrible. You want me to go on?
Yes, yes.
We have heard some songs by Shmerke Kaczynski, another FPO member who was a member of the ranks of the Polish Communist Party. He wrote this song about Wittenberg when he was fighting in the woods outside Vilna. The music is an old Russian tune. After the war, Kaczynski performed the song himself in 1946 for the Central Jewish Historical Commission in Munich.
Okay, Maurice, maybe you will pronounce it so people will know to pronounce it.
Yeah, sure. Der Feind is the enemy. Achaya is a beast. Fatayit is hidden. Geschmitten is in chains. A Mauser is a kind of gun. Gefahr is a danger. Droht is threatens. And Stolz means proud.
Okay, Karen?
Oh,
Yes.
Dave could do it if you want.
Yes, okay, okay, I
Go
thought
ahead,
it,
Dave. Go
okay,
ahead.
good.
Go ahead.
Select agates verteilt der Feind wie a Kach
Chaya.
Chaya.
Haie. Der Mauser erwacht in mein Hand.
Go on.
Nur plötzlich Gestapo es führt a geschimmerte
Geschmitzen.
durch Fente nicht dem Kommandant.
Okay.
Good.
Could Maurice translate?
Yes, so
Yes.
somewhere the enemy is hiding like a beast. The Mauser is watching in my hand, but suddenly the Gestapo. And here, I don't know if any of you saw the website where I found the song, which is a Yad Vashem website. And what they had was the song transliterated into English. They didn't have the original Yiddish words. And I made the mistake of using their transliteration to write the Yiddish words, but there was a mistake that I realized it last night. There shouldn't be es fiert. It should be fiert a geschmitten. It's the Plitzen Gestapo fiert a geschmitten. Suddenly the Gestapo is leading a man in chains. It shouldn't be an S. Durch Finsternis dem Kommandant. They're leading our commander through the dark.
Okay. Karen, please.
Die Nacht hat mit Blitzen das Ghetto zerrissen. The night with flashing lights tore up the ghetto. Unless Blitzen means lightning.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Gefahr schreit a teuer avant. Danger cries a gate, a wall. Chavrim Chaverim Getraya von Ketel befreien. The friends, devoted friends of a chain of freedom,
They free him from chains.
from his chains. Verschwinden mit dem Kommandant. They disappeared with the commander.
Good.
Yeah. Okay, Maurice, you want to add anything?
No, that's good. That's good.
Okay. Naomi, will you please read?
Okay. Die Nacht ist verflogen, der Teut vor die Augen, das Ghetto es fiebert in Brand. In Umru das Ghetto es droht die Gestapo teut oder dem Kommandant. The night is, I don't know what verflogen is.
Nice pass.
Past is gone, okay.
Yeah,
Der Teut for die Eugen, death is in front of the eyes,
yes.
or death is in front of us. Das Ghetto is es fiebert in Brand. The ghetto is hot,
Feverish.
like a fever.
Right,
Like a blaze.
Right.
Okay.
right.
In Umru das Ghetto, the ghetto is not at peace, or
Good,
right?
restless,
Umru,
good.
restless.
Good.
Okay. Es droht. I forget what droht is. I know you said.
Restless, the Gestapo.
Threatens. Okay. The Gestapo is threatening death. Death or the commandant. Those are the choices.
Right.
Yes. Okay, Golda gone.
Gesagt hat dann Itzet und durch wie Blitzet ist, ich will nicht, ihr sollt zu lieb mir dürfen dem Leben dem Seine abgeben. Zum Teut geht stolz der Kommandier. So Itzek said through a lightning or something.
His words went through the town like lightning.
Oh, ich will nicht, ihr sollt zu lieb mir davon. I don't want you to do this because of me. Leben dem Seine abgeben, to release the enemy of what he's doing. Some tight gate stolz, der Kommandier, and the Commandeer went with pride to his death.
Right. So what he said, his words were, I don't want you to give up your lives to the enemy for me.
Okay, anything else, Maurice?
No, that's fine.
Okay, Brenda?
Okay. Licht wieder verteilt der Feind via Chaie. Wacht fester mein Mose in Hand. Jetzt bist mir tired. Sei die mein verfreie. Sei du it's der mein Kommandant. So he lays like the enemy is hidden again like a beast, and we wait with a gun. I wait with a gun in my hand. We are now very dear. My friends, my befreier, zij do be my friends. Zij do, you please do. It's now my commander.
But I think he's talking about the gun, no?
Yeah.
Right. So he's addressing the gun. He's
Yeah, in
saying,
his hand.
now you're dear to me. Sei du mein Befreier. You be my liberator. Sei du, it's the mein Kommandant. Now you be my commander. He's addressing the Mauser, the gun in his hand.
Dank.
And Michael added this picture as well. So let's listen it once again, and then if anyone wants to comment on it, we will comment later, okay? But first, let's listen to it.
איציק ויטנברג, מחבר קצ'רגינסקי, הסובייטיsche Melodie, gesungen durch Mechaber. Fliegt jetzt parteiet, der Feind wie Haie, der Mauser erwacht in meiner Hand. Nur Blutzen Gestapo, 4 Tage geschmitten, durch Finsternis dem Kommandant. Nur Blutzen Gestapo, 4 Tage geschmitten, durch Finsternis dem Kommandant. Die Nacht hat mit Blitzen das Ghetto zerrissen. Schreit a Teuer, a Wand, Chaverim getreie, in Ketten befreien. Verschwinden mit dem Kommandant, Chaverim getreie, und Ketten befreien. Verschwinden mit dem Kommandant. Die Nacht ist verflogen, der Teut vor die Augen, das Ghetto, es fiebert in Brand. In Umru, das Ghetto, es droht die Gestapo, Teut oder dem Kommandant. In Umru, das Ghetto, es droht die Gestapo, Teut oder dem Kommandant. Gesagt hat dann Itzig, und durch wie a Blitzis, ich will nicht, ihr sollt zu lieb mir, dürfen dem Leben, dem Söhne abgeben. Zum Teut geht stolz der Kommandier, dürfen dem Leben, dem Söhne abgeben. Zum Teut geht stolz der Kommandier, liegt wieder verteilt, der Feind wie a Haie, halt fester dir ist Mauser in Hand. Du bist mir teuer, sei du mein Befreier, sei du ist mein Kommandant. Jetzt bist mir teuer, sei du mein Befreier, sei du ist mein Kommandant.
Okay, anyone wants to add anything? Barbara, maybe you will tell us a little bit about the article that you sent us that is really fascinating.
Yes, but I must say that Maurice actually sent it to us first. And
Sorry.
yeah.
Sorry,
And
Maurice.
I didn't catch it. So that's why I sent what I
That
sent.
happens to the best
So
of us.
Maurice really has the
Okay,
information.
but just
Thank
can
you.
you just tell us a little bit about it, or you didn't read it?
Yeah, I read it, and so it's very, so what actually occurred is not clear, and there are many endings about the ending of Wittenberg's life. And so there's the thinking that he was turned over by the partisan fighters, that he didn't surrender. There's that thinking, and his family, his wife and child, thought he was betrayed. It also says in the article, and Maurice can certainly correct me, that the populace did not support any kind of fighting. This actually, it was supposed to be, I think, a trigger to the uprising in the Vilna ghetto, that Wittenberg would be taken, and the populace did not support it.
Right.
So, Maurice, do you want to please?
No, that's right.
add?
That's basically
Yeah.
right. I mean, the Vereinigte Partizane Organization was already in existence for about a year and a half, and the Germans were murdering left and right. Jews were being taken to Puna, and so the partisans had hoped that they could spark a general revolt against the Germans, and they just didn't get the support And at a certain point, they just, they went through the sewers, they went out to the forest, and they fought the Germans in the forest, you know, side by side with Soviet partisans. But internally, it was a tremendous disappointment to the organization that had tried to build a, you know, it was a difficult situation. I mean, every ghetto went through the same thing, you know, when to resist, how much to resist, because the Nazis were extremely clever at, you know, making promises, and they had all these tricks, all kinds of things. They had real informers, they had people who weren't real informers, but, you know, they would grab some guy and say, if you don't give us the names, you know, we'll kill your wife. If you don't tell us where the next meeting of the organization is, you know, we'll kill your grandmother. I mean, they weren't really informed. They were in tremendous pressure. The Germans were very clever in every ghetto. And sure, it was a disappointment, but I don't know that I would have done any better. So.
Okay,
Anyway.
thank you, Maurice. Marsha, I saw that you raised your hand before.
I just thought that Shmerke Kazarjinsky and Avram Suskever and Avram Suskever's wife, they escaped the Nazis, the three of them together, and they remained friends and writers together.
They did,
Okay.
but Shmerke Kaczynski's wife was murdered. So.
Yeah.
Okay, Rachel and then Rafael. Rachel?
I am triggered by the Mauser because, and I don't know, maybe some of you know whether this was a German gun, because when I was in pre-military training in Israel, we have in high school, we have Gadna. That means, do they know pre-military training? When you are in high school, you already get military training, really. And when I was 16, I had a Mauser in my hand at 16. Later on in the army, it was an Uzi.
We had an Uzi. I had an Uzi.
Yeah, but in Gadna, in pre-military training, we had a Mauser. And I'm just wondering if this is a German gun.
Yeah.
Yes.
The partisans were using. Yeah.
Yes.
And I know that one of the reasons that Jews weren't often able to mount armed resistance was that they didn't have enough weapons. And so one of the places they got weapons, if they killed a German, he had a Mauser, they took his Mauser and they used it. But, you know, the Germans were so heavily armed that it was very difficult in all the ghettos in Warsaw and Lodz to get any kind of weapons. I mean, sometimes they could buy weapons on the Aryan side and smuggle them into the ghetto. Sometimes there were people who were sympathetic, you know, there were Poles who were sympathetic, but getting weapons was, you know,
difficult.
Thank you. Yeah. But that Mauser made its way to Israel to me.
Yeah, to you.
Was it the
and
same
to all of
Mauser
us. To
that
all
Kaczynski had?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it didn't have initials on it, so yeah. Okay, Rafael.
Yeah, two things. We've in another song, it's Halten a Gun in der Hand.
Yeah.
The gun is a 7-chambered pistol made by Emile and Leon Nagant in Belgium. I don't know who makes the Mauser. The other
Mauser.
Mauser. The other thing I wanted to mention is something very strange about the wording. Kaczynski, being a Litvak, would be usually not using the neuter gender. He said das Geta, and it's quite clear he's saying das Geta, whereas usually it's die Geta. And so
I think in this song, once he says die and once he says das. I don't have the text in front of me, but I think he uses both. If you have it in front of you,
at least in one place, he does clearly say das, and that surprises me because usually a Litvak wouldn't use a neuter.
Right. Okay, thank you. Marty?
Yes, first of all, I agree with Maurice. If you have not been in the shoes, you cannot judge.
Moses, Morty, we have a problem. There is a problem. We cannot hear you clearly.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I was just going to agree with Maurice that if one hasn't been in the shoes, it's very difficult to judge the reaction of the people in front of an enemy so much more powerful. But that's not what I wanted to say. I wanted to follow up on Rachel's comment. When I was in high school, back in Peru, we also had sort of a pre-military training, and part of that was shooting. And we also had Mauser guns.
Wow.
And,
okay, so those Mauser really went, all over the world.
They were, I think they were the equivalent of the Kalashnikov today at that time. I do remember that they were extremely heavy, and the kickback of the bullet into your shoulder was terrible, was very, very strong.
Yeah, I have a thank you. I have a picture of myself with the Mauser. When I'm back in New York, I'll show it to you. Me and another girl, like with two Mausers, like that.
Okay.
But they were all over. Those guns were all over the world, like the Kalashnikovs today.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, anyone else has anything to add? Cookie? Yeah.
Yeah, there was a word there that threw me when they were explaining some words. They said the word danger. I don't remember what the word danger. But I know that in Sakana means danger.
Right. Well, it's one of those situations where Yiddish has words from two different languages that mean the same thing. There's the
Sakana
and there's the melech, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the word. I'm thinking of the word gefährlich. Does that come from
right?
Exactly.
Gefährlich. Right.
Oh, das ist gefährlich.
Yes, it comes from it. Yes. Yes. Anyone else want to add anything to? If not, we will move to something really completely different. We are going to move to Israel in the 50s, a story written by Rikuda Potash. Even the name Rikud is dance in Hebrew. So Rikuda is some kind of variation of it. She wasn't born in Palestine, in Israel. I sent you a link that talks a little bit about her. She came to Israel in 1934 and lived there until her death, I think in 65. And she was a librarian at Bezalel. Bezalel is the a very famous art school in Jerusalem. So she was the librarian there. And she wrote in Yiddish all her life. She wrote poems and she wrote short stories. She wrote in Yiddish, but the subjects were not your usual subject. She was writing about Sephardi women. She was looking around there at the neighborhoods in Jerusalem and just writing about the women there. And Rachel and me spoke before we started, and we said it describes our neighborhood. It's the neighborhood we grew up in. It's the people that we know. Rochale, you are with us? Sitz geht, Rochale. Wie bist du? Ich sehe, dass du bist du.
No, she must have done something.
Sekundele, ich bin du, ich höre alles oder bald geh rein mit meinem Computer.
Ich will wissen, in Badias hat gewesen derselbe Sache. Because that's the neighborhood that we grew up. It's the mixed neighborhoods of Sephardim.
Oh, yeah.
And Ashkenazim, and with all the problems that came with it. And I chose this story once because it's different. It's completely different from what we did until now. And second, there are a lot of topics to discuss about what happened in Israel at the beginning of its being a state, when all the new immigrants came started living together, and there are a lot of things that we will talk about. But first I see that Morty wants to say
Yes,
something.
when I read the Nechov Gelein, the Meise, so ich habe mir vorgestellt, dass die Schinut sind gewähnt verschiedene, nicht derselbe. Menschen haben gewohnt in einer Seite, die Aschkenazim haben gewohnt in einer Seite, das war der Monat zweite Seite.
Nein, nicht damit, nicht damit, nein, nicht damit.
Aber in die Meise, sie sagt, Firche sagt, als der Bucher kommt von einer anderen Schchene.
Kommt von einer orthodoxischen Gegenheit.
Aber nicht nur orthodoxisch, nur euch speziell Aschkenazi.
Speziell, ja, aber wie ich auch gewachsen bin, ich meine, dass wie auch Rachel Gordon hat gewachsen, so hat gewesen am Mischmasch. Alle, derselbe Gas, und ich kenne, so hat gewesen Aschkenazim, so hat gewesen Sfaradim, so hat gewesen Jemenites, gewesen Kurdim, gewesen Ungarn, gewesen Rumänien. Ich meine, dass bei dem ich kenne, my language capabilities are bigger now, I think, because of that, because I heard so many languages when I grew up. So, ich weiß nicht, wer soll zu sagen, das auf Yiddish.
Sie macht nicht so. Was hat mich interessiert, ist gewesen die Sache, als sie hat Meure gehabt, als man wird nicht lieb oben in der Gegend, weil sie kommt da ein Bucher von der zweiten Gegend.
Nein, aber das ist nicht von der Gegend, das ist because sie ist Sfaradik, sie ist Kurdisch, und ist Ashkenazi. Aber das mit reden von dem, wenn mit Ureisen.
Ganz gut.
Okay, so.
Ja.
Okay. Susan, before we start.
Wo sucht sie Kurdisch?
Kurdisch ist Kurdisch.
Welche Jiden sind in Kurdisch?
Kurdistan is to the north of Turkey. And there were lots of Jews there. In my neighborhood, there were Kurden. Jews.
En ze zijn ze hebben gered Ladino.
Nein, sie haben gered Kurdisch, nicht Ladino.
Oh.
Sie haben gered Kurdisch. Anna Kurdi. Nicht Ladino. Nein.
Ich habe die Kabel nicht gehört.
Mod geat zwei kurdische Mischpuche in der Gegenheit. In seinem Gerät Kurdisch. It's kind of another dialect, but it was not Ladino. Not Ladino. Rafael?
Yeah, I just sent something in the chat, an article about this name. They pronounce it Parecha, and apparently it means...
No, it's Percha.
Percha, okay, it means joy. And Kurdish is an Iranian language. And these are from people then, Jews, Oriental Jews, they are sometimes called, Jews from the East. And so this is absolutely no Ladino there. These are Jews from modern day Iraq, Iran, some in Turkey maybe.
Yeah, it's the north of Turkey, yeah. I know the families that were in our neighborhood, they were from the north of Turkey. Yeah, Morty.
Yes, I wanted to follow up on Rafael because the Kurds have been fighting for an own land, for an own independence for many years. And part of their inspiration is, of course, Israel. And during their problems, to call it some way, between Iran and Iraq and Turkey with the Kurds, Israel has been supporting them quite a bit underground.
Okay, thanks. Beverly.
Well, before we start the story, I want to remind everyone that this Sunday, 1 o'clock Houston time, we're doing our Shalom Aleichem program. I hope you've all gotten the information. And I guess we'll oh yeah, we did. We have it on YouTube. We'll send it a few more times.
Okay.
Time Sunday, what time?
Thank you, Beverly.
This Sunday, May 1st.
What time?
1 o'clock Houston time. So Florida would be 2 o'clock, I think.
Yeah. Rafael, you want to say anything more, or you
Now I
didn't?
see it, Beverly.
I meant the hand, sorry.
Ah, okay. So, okay, guys, so let's start it, and we will continue discussing it as we go along, okay? Because I think there are many topics there that we can talk about. Let me just move the pictures. Okay. Rachel.
Okay, Pircha Ozri. Ozeri.
Ozeri. It's Ozeri. Ozeri, yeah.
Okay. A große, große Levone ist aufgegangen in Häuf. Wo Pircha ist gesessen mit Borwese Fies auf Frisbesteiner. Sie ist gesessen, verguckt in der Levone.
Okay, so translate it.
Okay. It's a big moon was shining in the backyard where Pircha was sitting with bare feet on a stone stool, on a stony stool.
Yeah, it's a stone bench.
Oh, okay. She was looking, she was sitting there looking at the moon. The backyard was white, clear.
Okay, but read it in English first.
I continued in English. I read in the Yiddish. I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. Der Häuf ist gewesen a weißer, a chlorer. Pircha hat ihm gewaschen, gekehrt. Sie hat sich gericht vergast. Okay. The backyard was white, clear. Pircha was washing it and sweeping it. She was getting ready for a guest, for a visitor. Der Summerdicke heißer Ofen hat hereingebracht Pircha in a Glistung. The summery white evening brought on in Pircha a desire. Sie ist gewesen unruhig und ihre Machshoves sind gewesen eingehielten in a modnem Schleier. She was restless and her thoughts were like wrapped up in a strange veil. Keiner hat nicht gewusst, als sie hat ungeknippt a Freundschaft mit der Chayal von Schonas Achava. Nobody knew that she had entangled herself she was entangled in a friendship with a soldier from the Achava Boulevard.
It's not in neighborhood, Shchuna.
Isn't Shchuna Boulevard?
No. Shchuna is neighborhood.
I always think, okay. Weil in Achava wohnen kemat bloß Shiknozim, because in Achava they are living almost all Ashkenazi Jews. Now, Shiknazim is really a way that the Sfardim put down the Ashkenazim. It's not Ashkenazim here, but Shiknazim. That's how they used to call us.
But tell us how we call them.
Oh, so many. Oh, so many names.
We call the Sfaradim, we call them Frankim.
Frankim. Yeah.
What is going on here? Guys, where is the noise coming from? Okay, go on, and then Morty, I see you.
Oh, they used to say terrible things.
They used to say Shiknazim or the Vuzvuzim.
Today, when I meet a Sephardic person, I tell them, listen, I am warning you, I am a vuzvuz. Right away.
Okay.
Okay, I want to say something, if I may.
Yes,
in Arabic, which the Jews who lived in the Middle East were influenced of, there's no P sound in Arabic, so the name is Frecha.
No, it's Pircha here. There is a dot. There is a dot in the pay.
Frecha is a kinui. Is not a name.
No.
It's a mean.
Look,
it's a mean kinui.
Ist rausgekommen, der schlechte Weg zu suchen Frecha ist rausgekommen von der Nume.
Und der Nume, ja, das ist gerecht.
All right.
Okay.
All of a sudden, I remember. Amina, you're asking me about names we used to call Sephardim.
Yeah.
A Frank Parech.
A Frank, yeah, exactly.
No, something else. A Frank is a Chaye, and a Frankine is a Mechaye. They used to say.
Oh, das weiß ich nicht.
A Frank is a Chaye. Yeah, in a Frankine is a Mechaye.
She's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to say something. I had a very close relative that her parents called her Bluma, but she wanted to make it an Israeli name, so she Hebrew it into
Frecha.
No, Frecha. Pirchia.
Yeah,
there was a name
and
like
she was far away from a Frecha. She was a daughter of a Litvak.
For people who don't know it, Frecha is kind of like
it's a bad name.
It's a derogatory name. It's like
a derogatory expression.
It's a very, very derogatory to be called Frecha. But Morty and then Vinkl.
Okay.
Morty.
Okay. I don't have unfortunately a scholastic background in Yiddish grammar, but in the first sentence of the second paragraph, where it says, "Areingebracht Birche in a Glistung," I would have thought it should say "Areingebracht in Birche a Glistung." Perhaps Refoil can tell me if I am wrong or.
What do you say, Refoil?
Both would be correct. This says it brought her into a desire, which is, you're right, a little bit strange. You'd expect it brought a desire into her.
Into her.
Yeah. I also just wanted to point out that Kurdish and Iranian languages are not the same as Arabic. They do have the sound P. They are Indo-European. They're not Semitic.
Okay. Thank you. That's important. Okay.
Should I continue? Should I
Yes,
continue?
please,
Yeah, okay.
please, go
Okay.
on.
Sie weiß es und es schreckt sie der Gedanke, als ihre werden sie sicher bewaffnet mit Steinen. She knows it. That that means in that neighborhood Achava where he lives, almost most of them are Ashkenazi, but so she knows it, and she is frightened by the idea that her own Ire, that means her own people, the Sephardim, will throw stones on her because of that. Because
can you tell us a little bit about, you know, the problems between the between the different, you know, subgroups in Israel at the time?
Yeah, right. I certainly can. I think, Mina, I'm older than you are.
I don't know how old you are.
Really, I know. I also know by how much, but so I
okay, I'm telling, I'm 68. I was born in 53, so that's 5 years after the state of Israel.
So I am
You're
11.
very young.
Okay,
very
I am only 11 years older than you.
Okay.
Okay. So don't tell anybody, please.
Okay.
Anyway,
Okay.
I remember how after Independence War, I was like 6. I remember how all of a sudden, there were all kinds of people that were coming that I had never seen before, and they were darker, and they were speaking strange languages. It was like an invasion, and like an invasion of privacy. And my shchuna was called Shchunat Olei Romania, immigrants from Romania. My parents were Litvaks, but we were living there. But
where, in what place, in what city?
In Tel Aviv.
In Tel Aviv.
Oh, Tel Aviv.
Okay. Tel Aviv now, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember how they looked, and how the Ashkenazim, including my parents, looked at them and what they were saying about them. First of all, as I was growing up, I was warned not to ever go out with a Sephardi boy, never to go out. And that's when my mother was saying what I said before, a Frank is a chaye and a Frankine is a mechaye. That means a Sephardic guy is an animal and a Sephardic woman is pleasure. Why? Because a Sephardic man would beat you up. A Sephardic woman, if you marry a Sephardic woman, she is a machaya, she is pleasure because she is very subservient to her guy. Okay, fast forward.
It's not subservient. She is very good housekeeper.
Later, one time, I had a blind date with a guy, an Iraqi guy. I think he was born in Iraq. And I was very curious to meet him. He was a journalist for the radio station in Arabic. Very highly educated. So I met him at a place where I thought nobody would see me. Because, you know, in Tel Aviv at that time, the minute you went out on the street, there were people that saw you and knew you and told your mother. So I met this guy at the lobby of a hotel, I think of the Dan Hotel. And I thought over there are only tourists, so nobody from my neighborhood would see me. Okay, so I sit with this guy, I don't know, a couple of hours, and I go home. The next day, my mother says to me, "Who was the Schwarzer you were dating?" You know, somebody. It was a forbidden thing. It was worse than going with a goy or going with a Schwarzer. Yeah, that's how strong it was. Yeah.
I want just to add anything for people who saw the drama Shtisel on TV.
Yeah.
If you saw Shtisel, there is, I don't remember in which season is, the Orthodox Ashkenazi goes on a date with a girl and he doesn't notice that she is a Sephardi.
Yeah.
Only later when he knows and his parents knows that she is a Sephardi, there is a big tararam about it, and they do not allow the marriage, the shidduch to go through. So until now, there is a problem with it. Golda?
I know my first trip to Israel was in 1969. And one of the first things that I noticed there, I went with my mother, was that there was so much discrimination against Jews that were darker skinned. And I thought it was terrible. And we were in France the following year, and we went to a Jewish section of France, and we became friendly with a few people that, because they were speaking Yiddish, and she became friendly with my mother, and she told her all her problems and all her daughters-in-law, and she said her favorite daughter-in-law was Moroccan, and she was dark-skinned, and she was the best of all. So, you know, you just have to get used to it.
Yeah. Well, nowadays, mostly people got used to it, mostly. Rochale?
Can I add something, Nina?
Yeah, but first, Rochale, Mayre.
Let her talk. It's okay. Let her say what she wants to say, and then I'll talk.
Okay, so Luisa.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get ahead of anybody. I was just.
That's okay, no problem.
I was raising my hand a little while ago. I had two comments to make. First of all, about the word pirja. Isn't the root for pirja perach from flower?
From flower, yes.
Flower. So it really means flower as a name.
So she was called Bluma, probably.
That's it. That's it. So pirja would be Bluma. So, and my other comment is that the discrimination between Ashkenazi Jews and Sephardic Jews was also going on 100 years ago in the United States when the Sephardic Jews came from the Ottoman Empire, and the Ashkenazi Jews looked down upon them, and they said that they were not Jews because they did not speak Yiddish. That if anybody was a Jew,
he would speak Yiddish.
The Jew had to speak Yiddish. So they were not considered to be Yiddish, and there were a lot of problems between both congregations.
Thank you, Luisa. Okay, Mayre and then Rochale. Mayre.
So I have to ask, I mean, the story that Rochelle told, were Sephardic Jews like did they take on the customs of Arabic countries?
Yes.
Or what they did? It wasn't a mythology that was being spread. There really was a male-female divide like that.
Yes,
okay.
There was.
Thank you.
Yeah. Rochale?
I want to begin by saying that we, the Ashkenazi children, can only testify for the way our parents responded. We have no clue, no idea how the other parents responded. And the truth is that it was a mutual thing. There were, as much as we look different, so did they look different. There were differences in culture, in language, in looks, in technology, because the European Jews tend to come from Europe, which was more advanced in the technology, and so forth. So I know stories that are exactly the opposite. I know someone who was a nice Polish child, blue eyes and red hair, light complexion. He wanted to date a Sephardi girl, and they fell in love. They wanted to go out to watch a movie, and the father locked her at home. He forbid her to go out with an Ashkenazi, and he threatened him. He told him, "Don't come near my daughter. You don't belong." So we cannot say that the Ashkenazi patronized the Sephardim.
Well, they did patronize.
No. There's something. Wait, I'm not done. I want to say something. Really, it's the old comers who did not welcome the Olim. I think Ashkenazi Jews suffered from their neighbors because of that. remarks like, oh, Hitler didn't kill enough of you. I don't know if you heard, but
Yes.
it was something that many people know about. So, you know, there was a problem, but it's not black and white like it's being described here. I think some situation it was derogatory towards certain people, I agree, but I think it went both ways. I think it was mutual in many events, and many Sephardic parents didn't want, they want them to marry, let's say it simply, they wanted to marry with their own kind, to keep the same tradition, the same language, the same Masoret, you know. Persian Jews do it, Syrian Jews do it, many groups do it. But then coming to Israel, if you look in America, it's still going on like that. They look down at the Ashkenazi people. If you talk to Persian and you talk to Syrian Jews, they are very inclusive. No, I'm sorry, exclusive. Exclusive. So, and they look down. Sephardic Jews from Sepharad, they write Samechtet, Sephardi Tahor, pure Sephardi. They want you to know that they're pure. Can you imagine that an Ashkenazi will write Ashkenazi Tahor, Aleph Tet? So it's not, I don't think it's black and white. I think prejudice, I think derogatory remarks were going both directions, and each one had a hard time to welcome the other. And I think we have to take it into consideration because it really distorts the reality of what happened. I grew up in a mixed neighborhood. I had Yemenite Jews, I had Iraqi Jews. I can tell you a funny memory of mine. My mother, with her heavy Hungarian accent, sits down with two neighbors. One is Iraqi, the other one is Yemenite, and they both talk a broken Hebrew, each one with a very heavy accent. I mean, Iraqi Jews have a very specific accent. I think you hear it from me.
Yes.
And the Temanim, they were talking in their way. I'm good at imitating each one. This is one of the things my kids like me to say. Say, Ima, now talk like a Yemenite, now talk like an Iraqi, now talk like an Hungarian. That's how we grew up. And I was very lucky. Most of my neighbors were very nice people of all, and we respected each other. It didn't happen everywhere, you know. But I know about those who didn't, and I know that it was not always from the Ashkenazi. So we have to be careful with that. It's not black and white. It's not the American history that should be being put on the Israeli experience. Not at all. Nobody enslaved anybody, and it's not like blacks who were enslaved versus the white people. The Ashkenazi are not the American white people, not at all, and they were suffering as well, especially the Holocaust survivors who got a very nasty welcome to Israel. So we have to be careful.
Okay, thank you, Rachel, and then we will continue reading.
Okay, a little comment. My neighborhood was made up mostly of Ashkenazim, and I want to say that in that neighborhood, there was a lot of discrimination amongst Ashkenazim. Oh, you know, my mother, may she rest in peace, who was a Litvak, would say, oh, this is a Polish. And my father would say, oh, is a Rumäner. You know, oh, sie geht darum mit der Rumäner, geht darum mit der polnische Dripke. So, remember this? Okay. So, within us, Ashkenazi Jews.
It's true, even today.
Yeah, oh, these are Polish Dripke. Yeah.
Okay, Rachel, let me tell you something. My parents were from Poland and my husband's parents were from Romania. And they thought that the Shidduch is not okay. They thought that it's not okay, that he should marry a Romanian one.
So right. Yeah, right. Right.
Okay.
Judy, this confirms what I said, that people are close to their culture, to their language, to the custom, whichever they came with to Israel, you know.
Judy.
I think it all depends on the education that you get from your parents.
That's also right, Neely. Okay, Judy, let Judy speak.
Yes. So my question is, with the variety of different cultures, how is this handled in school? Was there any kind of discussion about how did kids get along? And was everybody going to the same school together that was living?
Yes. We were going to the same school, being together. With time, it changed.
Yeah.
With time, it changed.
So people were teachers addressing these?
No.
No.
No one addressed it. Only at home.
I recommend those who can to watch the program in Kan 11. It's the public Israeli station for television about the experience of Russian Jews, what happened to them when they came to Israel.
Yes.
They suffered a lot, and you know, people here. There was a frecha. It was the Russian Jews. They were called zonot, whores, and all the father was supposedly drunk and stinky. You know.
I think Svetlana can tell us about it.
I can tell you from my life experience. You don't need to watch movie or just read something. I can tell from my own experience how to be like naive Jew coming from out really Iron Curtain. We didn't know anything. We just have this line number 5 in our passport, and we knew that being Jew, it's very bad. It was discrimination. So, and then we knew that Israel, it's like a holy land, and your brothers and everybody is waiting you, and you are coming home. And when I came here, and when I came to Israel, it was like shock, and I was not able to recover mentally. Like for 9 years, I still was not able to feel like at home, because these first years, especially first like 2 years, it was disaster that still is sitting in me. And here outside in diaspora, I feel like I'm minority, but I feel I'm part of Jewish community. I belong to Jewish community by language, like Yiddish, it's language, holy language, it's Bible, like Torah Hebrew, nothing to do with modern Hebrew. I'm fluent in modern Hebrew, yeah, but like language of Torah, it's still different language. So here I feel like a human being, Ben Adam.
Thank you, Svetlana.
Yeah.
Thank you. I knew that the story will raise a discussion. I didn't think that it will be this deep. Okay, so I saw that Anita and Zuli, and then we will really go back to it. Anita.
Well, in Buenos Aires, I grew up in Buenos Aires, and I didn't know about the Sephardic community until I was 15 or 18 years old. We live in 2 separate worlds. So, you know, it's nothing to do with the people. It's just that we segregated in the same city. There were no ghettos, but in the same city, people were segregated. And, you know, only I think after the 60s, maybe people started getting together. But in the early times, I didn't even know about that except in the books. So it's a matter of how people segregate.
Yeah. Okay.
I can tell you.
Zuli, just a moment, Neely.
You don't want me to tell the whole story.
Wait. Zuli first.
What?
First, Zuli.
Yeah, I want to tell you, in the late 90s,
we have an assistant conductor from Argentina, from a very religious Sephardic family. And he married an Ashkenazi girl. We became friends, and he told us when he married her, his father said Shiva, said Kaddish and said Shiva for him and never talked to him again. Anita and Luisa, you remember Mario Bensecri?
Oh, yes, right.
Yeah, his family said Shiva for him when he married.
Well, that's
in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, in the late 90s, all right?
This is extreme, yeah. Okay, Neely.
I was born in Israel. My children were born in Israel, but we went to live in America. We are still in America. When my daughter finished the university, a friend of her from Israel told her, you should come and live in Israel. So she did the big mistake, and she got married there to a guy that I saw him. I went to check on him, and I said, take a hike from him, but she didn't listen to me. It was very bad after she had a girl, and after 3 years, they went to the Rabbanut to get a divorce. And to tell you the truth, in this institute, my daughter and myself also, because I was with her 4 years, we got even worse attitude from the religious men there, from the Rabbanut, that it's unbelievable. I can write a horror stories. We still suffer from the ex-husband, and
but that's something else. That's
no. Wait, Mina.
But
he's
from Iraqi. He's from Iraqi descent.
Okay, Rochale,
I want to say something. And Svetlana, I hope Svetlana is still here because I don't see her. One thing that came up in the documentary that I saw yesterday is that the Russian Jews came to Israel and they are considered Jews. That's why they were welcome to Israel, right? Then when they want to get married, suddenly they have to prove, despite the fact that in their ID it's written Jewish, they came to Israel because they're Jewish. Suddenly, when they want to get married, there is a question of they have to prove that they are Jewish, and they have to go to the Rabbanut, just like Neely mentioned. Although I think Neely is an individual situation, but I'm talking generally about the Russian Jews. They had to come to the Rabbanut and meet the, how do you say, the Dayanim, the people who sit there.
The judges.
And they were being examined about their how much Jewish they are they really Jewish or not? And I was very shocked from that, because I'm thinking, if you live in Israel for 20, 30 years, you come as a child to Israel, your parents are considered Jewish, it's written in the ID Jewish. What's the story now? Why this happened to the Russian Jews? I don't understand. If someone can tell me, I will.
Okay, maybe we
because
will talk about
Israel is a religious country.
Okay,
you born, you die, and you get married according to the religious.
Okay, guys, we
Yeah,
are
but
not
it said already in the ID that they're Jewish. So why, if they came as Jews, if the
Neely,
ID was written
Rochale,
Jewish, why?
leave it for later.
No, it takes away. Just a second. It takes
No,
away
Rochale,
from my
leave
question. The
leave
question
it for
is,
later.
if it says Jewish,
Rochale.
in the ID, why is it a question 20 years later? I don't understand.
Okay, later, that's religion, that's something else. Okay,
Yes.
let's continue. Let's continue reading. Refoil, go on. Vikumdos. We have to cut it.
Wie kommt das? Was gerade von Schrunas Achava hat sie gefunden ihre Bescherten. How could it come out? How could it be that exactly out of this particular neighborhood, Achava, has she found her destined one? Sie hat gerieben ihre Borwese Fies auf a frisch gewaschenem Stein. She rubbed her bare foot on a freshly washed stone. Gerieben sie mit moire dicken Pochet. She, it's feet, plural. She rubbed them with a fearful fright. Sie betracht die Nägel von ihrer Fiesfinger. She examined the nails of her toes. Sie sind gewinn mit weiße, rundige, halbe Augen, wie bei junge Kastanes. They had white.
Can you show where it is? I cannot see.
Yeah, here, okay.
They had white, round half eyes, like young chestnuts. Etwas dunkle, mochige Haar haben sich gewissen auf ihre Litkes. Somewhat dark, mossy hair appeared on her thighs. Usually it's Litkes with a test. And das hat sie geekelt, and this really bothered her. Aber bald ist zerrunnen der Gedank wegen ihrer Fies. But soon this thought about her feet disappeared, melted away. Sie hat herausgenommen a vierkantig Spiegel. She took out a square mirror und hat gegen der Levana geguckt upon him. And she looked at her face in the shine of the moon. Sie hat gehabt a frisch dunkel Ponnen. She had a fresh, dark face mit breite, große Mandelaugen, with broad, large almond eyes. Ihr Hals is gewinne langer. Her neck was long, a bissel zu mager, perhaps a little too thin. Hat herausgehalten ihr dienem edelem Körper. It stretched out her thin, noble body. Sie hat reingeschmeichelt in der vierkantigen Spiegel. She smiled at this square mirror. Weil sie hat dort gesehen, schimmendem Chayil. Because she actually there saw a Shimon, the soldier, was kommt Tage von an anderer, who actually does come from a different community, aber gehört ihr, nur ihr, that belongs to her, only to her.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Refoil. I see Mayrev, yes?
I just want to comment how beautiful the writing is here. The a metaphor of the eyes and the moon, and the way that the writer describes. You're shown what the woman is thinking, not by hearing her thoughts, but by what she's sitting there doing. Nervously rubbing her feet and worrying about who's looking. Beautiful writing. It's just, I can't wait to read the rest of it.
Yeah, someone called her the poetess of Jerusalem. I don't remember who, but he called her the poetess, I think Gladstein, the poetess of Jerusalem.
Shalom Ash.
Shalom Ash.
Yeah.
Okay. Anita?
Morty has his hand up.
Yeah, also Anita, but she's muted.
She's muted.
Yeah.
I don't know where we are. Smell their hail. Or did I move?
Where?
Shimon the Chaya.
Shimon the Chaya. Shimon is a name, and the Chayil, the soldier, the Chayal.
Shimon der Chayil is angekommen mit der Pocket unter Arm. The smear is the
no, Shimon.
Shimon. The soldier is came with a bag,
a package,
a packet under the arm.
arm. But just a moment, I see that Morty, Anita, just a moment, you will continue, but Morty, yes.
I was just going to make a comment following up on Myra. The description is really beautiful, but it reminded me of the description of the women.
We cannot hear you, Morty, something's wrong today.
Oh.
I love this group.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I was going to say that I find the description also beautiful, but it for some reason reminded me of the description of the girl in Shir HaShirim, in the Song of Songs.
Okay, that's interesting. Maybe there is any, parallel.
There is a connection also.
Okay, thank you, Morty.
Okay.
Okay, Anita, go on.
Brucha ist ausgesprungen vom Ort wie wilde Sarne.
Sarne.
Aha. Sie hat gich hereingetan ihre Füße in de grüne Steckisch.
Zapatillas.
Sí, zapatillas.
Okay.
So, so Prija is ¿cómo se dice? Got up quickly, or
yes,
sprang up from where she was sitting, from the place the wild dog. Sie hat geht, and sie hat quick, sie hat quick reingetan and quickly put on the green Schichalach.
No, slippers.
The green slippers.
Slippers or whatever.
Yeah, the green slippers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you. Susan, go on a little bit.
Wie nur Shimon hat sich bewiesen in Häuf, hat wie aufgewacht der weiße Häuf mit Peneme. As Shimon showed himself in the courtyard, it sort of woke up the white courtyard. The faces began to appear in the courtyard.
Of course, everyone wanted to see what's going on.
Inni, der Sandler, Inni the shoemaker, hat aufgemacht a Schmuel Sparrele. So Finny.
Amy is the name.
I lost my place.
Yep.
Oh, Inni, the shoemaker, he closed.
No, aufgemacht.
He opened.
Aufgemacht. Oh, opened a Schmuel Sparrele in fence. He opened the window a little bit, a tiny bit. Hat ungemossen mit a Beisenblick dem Heil und verschwunden. He took a look at with an angry look at the soldier and went away. Simcha, the Kishevmacherin. In this case, a Kishevmacher is like a magician, but is this a woman magician?
It's a woman magician, but it's not exactly a magician. There were many women that, they gave you talismans and they told you, all kinds of, you have to do, if you want to marry this one, you have to do this and this in order to marry him. There were women who used to do like Ain Hara, like the evil eye, to give the evil eye on some, so it's not exactly a magician.
How about magic maker?
Oh, maybe, yeah. Maybe that's good.
Simcha, the magic maker, hat aufgemacht a dicke Tier. So she opened or closed a squeaky door.
Creaky.
She opened.
She opened a squeaky door.
She also wanted to see what's going on.
Sie hat gehalten a Blumentepel. She held a flower pot in hand und mit dem Meul Wasser bespritzt das Zweigel. And with a mouthful of water, she sprinkled it on the twig. Gejummert mit ihrer kluge Egelach und euch gehabter Kuck auf Shimon im Chayil. She blinked with her smart eyes, and she also took a look at Shimon the soldier. Sie hat schon nicht einmal verdient von Pirche a bloi papirl. She didn't, okay. Sie hat schon nicht.
Not only one.
She certainly earned from Pirche a blue paper, and oh, it's a banknote.
It's one at that time. It was 1 Israeli lira.
Oh,
at the time, at the beginning of the 50s, it was 1 Israeli lira, and it was blue. So not once she earned from Pircha 1 lira. For what? For
this wasn't the first time she had paid Pircha.
No,
a lira note for ihr Kishvan.
She was paid by Pircha.
Oh, she was paid by Pircha for her
magic.
Magic,
right?
Kishvan.
For ihr Kishvan, for ihr magic. Okay, let's. Another sentence, and we will stop here. Morty, we will talk about. Everyone will talk later. Morty, another sentence.
There's a lot of.
Sie soll Cholile nicht verlieren ihr Scheinkeit für Shimon, so that she would not, God forbid, lose her beauty for Shimon. Wenn Shimon wollte der Fin geworden, if Shimon would know about this, wollte verboten Pirchen zu gehen, sie a Chishev machen. He would have forbidden Pirche to go to the magic woman, to the magic maker. Nor Pirche will alsteen soll bleiben bei ihr, hoch sie is noch sehr jung. But Pirche will still do everything she can so that Shimon will remain with her, even if she is very young. Versteht sie als alle Wegen in Stegen. She understands all the ways and means, gedeiht ze halten ihm, in order to keep him. Soll nicht Chate haben. Charote. Soll nicht Charote haben, so that he will not dislike her.
No.
While
find fault.
Yeah.
Find fault with her.
Regret.
Regret.
That must be Hebrew.
Wus kann der warten a kurdisch Mädel, a Jesäume, wus hat 2 Vetters in Nachales Shiva. But what can expect a Kurdish girl in an orphan that has 2 uncles in Nahalat Shiva? Beide trägers, both carriers, package carriers, really. As they treffen sie amul of their gas, when they find her once in a while on the street, zidlen sie, they
tease her.
They haze her, yeah.
They tease her.
Wo sie trug schier auf hohe Knoppel, that she is wearing high heel shoes Ungate frasiert, and she goes around with a hairdo, the Filmspielerin, like an actress,
Like a movie star.
like a movie
Okay,
star.
I think we will stop here, and now all of you can talk. We will continue next week. All of you can talk now. Luisa.
Yeah.
Luisa, then Rachel.
What's the meaning of verschwunden?
Yeah, I
Verschwunden,
that word. What's
disappeared.
Disappear.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Luisa.
I just wanted to add that I had a different experience in Buenos Aires from Anita's experience, because my neighbor and they became our best friends were originally from Turkey, from Smyrna, and they were Ladino speakers. And so I became familiar with that part of the Jewish world. And then also in my Hebrew school, there were always Sephardic Jews. So we became very familiar very soon with my best friend from my Jewish Hebrew school. Her family was from